My sister accidentally added me to a secret family group chat on Christmas morning, where my mother and brother were plotting to sell my home behind my back. I watched in silent disgust as they shared photos celebrating inside my living room, boasting that their corrupt realtor would handle everything once the holiday ended. I quietly screenshot every message, executed a single digital signature that froze the property title, and dropped one final reply before blocking them forever. What happened the next morning completely destroyed their lives. My name is Aurora Joyce. To truly understand how an accidental text message on a crisp Christmas morning unraveled a multi-$100,000 real estate conspiracy in Spokane, Washington, you have to understand the toxic entitlement that defined my biological family. For as long as I can remember, my mother, Sylvia Joyce, treated family relationships as transactional leverage, rewarding whoever fed her ego while ruthlessly exploiting anyone who dared to stand on their own feet. I worked as a senior land title analyst and property fraud specialist for the Spokane County Auditor's Office. My daily professional life was spent investigating real estate transaction chains, verifying deeds, identifying fraudulent conveyances, and protecting property owners from predatory scams. My husband, Ethan Joyce, was a quiet, meticulous structural engineer who shared my belief in honesty, hard work, and living within our means. 3 years ago, my beloved godmother, Clara Montgomery, passed away. Clara was a fierce, independent woman who had no children of her own. She loved me like a daughter and deeply distrusted my mother and siblings, seeing right through their manipulative behavior. Before she died, Clara executed a legally flawless transfer-on-death deed and testamentary trust, leaving her historic 4-bedroom craftsman home in the desirable South Hill neighborhood of Spokane, Washington, entirely to me. The house was a masterpiece of classic architecture, featuring original oak trim, stained glass windows, a spacious wraparound porch, and a lush backyard garden. It was valued at over $750,000, completely paid off and held no outstanding mortgages or liens. Ethan and I spent nearly 2 years carefully restoring the plumbing, electrical systems, and original timber floors, turning it into our dream home. To my mother, Sylvia, my older sister, Gemma, and my younger brother, Tristan, my ownership of this magnificent property was an intolerable insult. In their mind, I didn't deserve such a valuable asset because I refused to fund their extravagant lifestyles or indulge their financial recklessness. Sylvia was a woman who prioritized appearances above all else. Gemma was her carbon copy, a serial consumer who racked up massive credit card debts on designer clothes and luxury vacations while working part-time jobs. Tristan was the golden child, a self-proclaimed real estate mogul whose actual career consisted of failed speculative house flips, unpaid contractor debts, and high-stakes sports gambling. In the months leading up to December, Tristan had gotten himself into deep financial trouble. He had taken out predatory short-term loans to fund a disastrous commercial flip in downtown Spokane, and his creditors were threatening legal action. Gemma was facing eviction from her high-end rental apartment, and Sylvia's own modest condo was heavily leveraged with equity loans she couldn't repay. Instead of taking responsibility for their failures, my family viewed my mortgage-free South Hill home as their ultimate financial safety net. Over the autumn months, Sylvia subtly dropped hints, suggesting that Ethan and I should share our blessing by letting Tristan use the house as collateral for his business loans, or allowing Gemma to move into the upper floor rent-free. When I firmly declined, explaining that my property was a private gift from Clara, intended solely for my household, my mother met me with stony silence. 2 weeks before Christmas, Sylvia called me with an unusually sweet tone. She claimed she had fallen ill with a severe seasonal virus and wanted a completely quiet, low-key holiday season. "Aurora, dear," Sylvia said softly over the phone, her voice dripping with fake fragility, "I just don't have the energy for a big family Christmas this year. Gemma, Tristan, and I agreed we're all staying in our own homes and resting. You and Ethan should take that romantic weekend trip to Coeur d'Alene you were talking about. "Don't worry about us, we'll catch up in the new year." Though I felt a pang of sadness at being distanced from my family during the holidays, Ethan and I welcomed the chance to recharge. We booked a cozy timber cabin overlooking Lake Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, just an hour's drive east of Spokane, planning to spend Christmas Eve and Christmas Day relaxing by the fireplace. On Christmas morning, the snow was falling softly outside our cabin in Coeur d'Alene. Ethan and I were drinking hot coffee on the sofa when my smartphone vibrated on the coffee table. I picked it up and saw a notification from a group messaging application. A new group chat had been created, titled Joyce Family Christmas and Future Real Estate. My sister Gemma had set up the group to share holiday updates, but in her morning rush, she had mistakenly added my phone number alongside Sylvia, Tristan, and an unfamiliar contact saved as Garrett Lawson, Realtor. I opened the thread, expecting a generic holiday greeting. What I saw instead made my blood run cold. The chat was flooded with recent photographs taken inside my South Hill Craftsman home. Sylvia, Gemma, Tristan, their spouses, and their children were gathered around my dining table wearing festive sweaters, drinking my expensive wine, and opening presents beneath a Christmas tree they had set up in my living room. They had let themselves into my home using an emergency key I had entrusted to my mother a year earlier for plant watering. Then came the text messages. Gemma wrote, "So glad we did Christmas here this year. The natural light and hardwood floors in Aurora's living room are going to look absolutely stunning in the listing photos." My mother Sylvia replied, "Make sure she doesn't find out. Aurora thinks she's so smart with her government job, but she doesn't need a 4-bedroom house to herself. She's always been selfish, keeping Clara's house while her own brother suffers." Tristan responded, "After Christmas, the realtor will handle everything. The forged quitclaim deed and fake power of attorney are already notarized. Garrett says we can list it for $750,000 on Monday and close in 15 days with a cash buyer." Garrett Lawson, the real estate broker, chimed in, "As long as the owner of record doesn't check the county clerk database before escrow opens, my private investment group can execute an expedited cash closing. We will wire the funds directly to Tristan's LLC account, pay off his debts, and split the remaining proceeds between Sylvia and Gemma." Sylvia posted a photo of her holding a champagne glass, adding, "It's what Clara would have wanted, supporting the whole family instead of just one ungrateful daughter." Sitting in that quiet Idaho cabin, reading those words, a wave of profound shock washed over me, immediately followed by a freezing, crystalline clarity. They had deliberately sent me out of state so they could occupy my home, document the interior, and execute a fraudulent title transfer behind my back. Many people in my position would have immediately called their mother screaming or driven back to Spokane in a rage to confront them in person. But as a senior land title analyst, I knew that an emotional confrontation would give them a chance to hide evidence, destroy documents, or alert their corrupt realtor to cover his tracks. Instead, I chose absolute, surgical legal precision. I sat quietly on the sofa and systematically took high-resolution screenshots and video screen recordings of every single message, timestamp, photograph, attached document draft, and phone number in that group chat. I saved the files to my secure cloud storage and emailed a duplicate package to my personal legal counsel, Marcus Thorne, a veteran real estate litigation attorney in Spokane. Because of my position at the Spokane County Auditor's Office, I was intimately familiar with the Property Title Protection Registry, a specialized state security protocol designed to prevent deed fraud and unauthorized title transfers. 2 years prior, I had registered my Craftsman home under this advanced security lock. Under county regulations, any attempt to register a quitclaim deed, power of attorney, or encumbrance against my property automatically triggered an immediate administrative hold, requiring a verified biometric and notarized signature from me to release. I called Marcus Thorne on his emergency line. Being a dedicated attorney, Marcus answered immediately. Within 20 minutes, Marcus drafted a comprehensive emergency legal filing, an ex parte injunction for fraudulent title impairment, an immediate notice of lis pendens, and an emergency writ of possession with criminal trespass enforcement. Marcus uploaded the legal package to my secure government portal. Using my encrypted digital signature key, I affixed one single legally binding digital signature to the affidavit. That single signature instantly accomplished 4 things. First, it placed an absolute permanent legal freeze on my property title, blocking any deed transfer statewide. Second, it automatically flagged Garrett Lawson's real estate license with the Washington State Department of Licensing for active real estate fraud. Third, it initiated an immediate criminal fraud investigation with the Spokane County Sheriff's Office and state prosecutor. Fourth, it authorized sheriff deputies to immediately execute an emergency eviction and criminal arrest warrant at my address. With the legal trap fully locked and loaded, I opened the group chat one last time. I typed a simple 9-word message into the thread. Merry Christmas. The rest, your realtor will explain. I hit send. Within 3 seconds, the chat went completely wild. Gemma, what? Aurora, why are you in this chat? Tristan, wait, Aurora, don't do anything stupid. Let us explain, it's not what it looks like. Sylvia, Aurora, pick up the phone right now. You are ruining Christmas for your entire family over a misunderstanding. Garrett Lawson, is this the owner of record? Gemma, you told me she wasn't on this thread. Delete this group immediately. I didn't reply to a single text. I exported the complete chat log, blocked every single one of their numbers, and turned off my phone notifications. At 8 o'clock on the morning of December 26th, while my mother, sister, and brother were still inside my South Hill home, waiting nervously for Garrett Lawson to arrive and attempt to damage control the situation, 3 Spokane County Sheriff patrol cruisers pulled into my driveway. Sheriff deputies, accompanied by process servers, walked up the front steps of my Craftsman home. When Sylvia opened the door in her bathrobe, expecting her realtor, she was served with an emergency writ of possession and criminal trespass citation. The deputies informed my mother, Gemma, and Tristan that they had 30 minutes to gather their personal belongings and vacate the premises immediately or face instant arrest for criminal trespass and breaking and entering. Neighbors gathered on the sidewalk, watching in shock as my mother sobbed hysterically on the front porch, while my sister and brother scrambled to throw their wrapped presents and luggage into the back of their cars under the stern watch of armed officers. Just as they were loading the last box, Garrett Lawson pulled up in his luxury sedan carrying a folder of forged real estate paperwork. Before he could step out of his vehicle, 2 plainclothes investigators from the State Division of Fraud and Financial Crimes blocked his car. They served Garrett with a search warrant, seized his electronic devices, and confiscated the forged quitclaim deed and fake power of attorney documents. Over the next 3 months, the legal consequences unfolded with devastating momentum. Tristan was indicted on multiple felony counts, including attempted grand theft, forgery of real estate documents, and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. The forensic audit revealed that he had hired an unethical notary to illegally seal the forged signatures on the quitclaim deed. Faced with irrefutable digital chat evidence and screenshot records, Tristan pleaded guilty to avoid a maximum sentence. He was sentenced to 4 years in state prison and ordered to pay $60,000 in legal fines and restitution. Garrett Lawson was stripped of his real estate broker license permanently by the State Board of Licensing. He was convicted of felony accessory to deed fraud, served 18 months in county jail, and was hit with massive civil penalties that forced his brokerage firm into complete liquidation. My mother, Sylvia Joyce, was indicted for conspiracy to commit real estate fraud and criminal trespass. To avoid active prison time, her attorney negotiated a deferred prosecution agreement that required her to pay substantial court restitution, perform 300 hours of community service, and submit to formal probation. Deprived of her social standing and forced to sell her leveraged condo to pay her legal bills, Sylvia was forced to move into a tiny, run-down one-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of town, entirely alienated from the social circles she spent a lifetime courting. Gemma faced severe civil judgments as a co-conspirator in the fraudulent scheme. Her credit score was destroyed, her bank accounts were garnished to pay legal expenses, and her reputation in the local community was permanently ruined. Ethan and I returned to our pristine South Hill home 2 days after the eviction. We hired a professional locksmith to rekey every lock, installed a state-of-the-art biometric security system with perimeter cameras, and thoroughly cleaned every room, reclaiming our sanctuary from the toxic memory of their betrayal. Using our legal settlement proceeds and personal resources, Ethan and I established the Clara Montgomery Property Rights and Elder Protection Fund, a regional nonprofit legal assistance organization dedicated to helping senior citizens, vulnerable homeowners, and fraud victims protect their properties from predatory land grabs and deed theft. Now, as I sit on our light-filled wraparound porch on a quiet evening, holding a warm cup of tea beside Ethan, I feel a profound sense of peace. I taught my family a lesson they will never forget. True strength lies in integrity, vigilance, and standing firmly for justice. They tried to erase me from Christmas to steal my home, but with one single signature, I rewrote the story permanently. Educational lesson. This story illustrates fundamental legal protections regarding real estate deed security, property title preservation, and digital evidence handling, deed fraud and title registries. Fraudulent conveyances involving forged quitclaim deeds or forged powers of attorney are completely void under law. Enrolling real property in county property title protection registries creates an automatic administrative notification lock preventing unauthorized title transfers or fraudulent escrow closings. Eviction of unlawful occupants via ex parte writs of possession. When non-owners enter a residence without permission using retained keys, they commit civil trespass and breaking and entering. Property owners can secure emergency ex parte writs of possession through local courts, empowering law enforcement to remove trespassers immediately without lengthy tenancy eviction proceedings. Admissibility of digital group chat records. Electronic text communications, group chat logs, and digital image attachments serve as primary direct evidence in criminal conspiracy prosecutions. Preserving unedited screenshots with complete timestamps and metadata establishes intent, collusion, and financial premeditation under state and federal evidence rules. Personal advice. When dealing with deeply manipulative or financially predatory family members, never allow emotional obligation to blind you to legal realities. If relatives attempt to exploit your success, demand control over your private assets, or exclude you from family functions while making demands behind your back, set unshakable physical and legal boundaries. Never share master keys, sensitive estate documents, or financial access with entitled relatives. Should you uncover a plot against your well-being, refrain from emotional outbursts. Quietly secure irrefutable digital evidence, engage qualified legal counsel, and let the rule of law hold wrongdoers fully accountable.